All right, good morning, good morning. I've got the backup Cameron engaged. Oh, and so far my live chat is flooded with Steves. I see proper Steve and other Steve. I'll let you two try and figure out who's who. Cameron, how you doing this morning?
Same thing we do every evening, Pinky.
But how you feeling?
That is an interesting question this morning, isn't it?
It is, because I'm happy. I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. That's right, baby. Okay, so our topic this morning, we're going to be talking, I cheated a little bit. I used Jordan Peterson's name in the tagline. We're going to talk about Jordan Peterson ever so briefly, but what we're really talking about is something Jordan Peterson said. And let's be real. I'm tired of talking about certain things in the news. I'm tired of Dindus. I'm tired of hung jury bullshit. I'm tired of Democrats calling for violence and nothing being done about it. Let's take a break. Let's have a little levity this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and
this once.
I'm going to show you guys a little Twitter here. Jordan Peterson on Twitter put out yesterday afternoon a serious question. What thoughts do you have that you consider reliable and true that are also truly happy? I want to collect thoughts genuinely linked to positive emotion. Let's start with happiness. What thoughts occur to you when you're happy? What thoughts make you happy? So, there's a lot of ways we can go with this. The first thing I want from all of you guys who are watching, and whether you're watching live right now or whether you've come to catch us on the replay later today or even the rest of this week, if you're on Twitter, and you know us, we're basically on Twitter to promote this show, and I use the Twitter trending analytics sometimes to drive traffic to figure out what I want to talk about. But if you're on Twitter for whatever reason, go ahead and pull up Jordan Peterson's page, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, at Jordan B. Peterson on Twitter. And this tweet, I believe, is pinned to the top of his Twitter feed right now. So hop on there and quote, tweet, or reply, and give it a like. Help feed the algorithm for Jordan B. Peterson as well. But more importantly, answer the question. What thoughts occur to you when you're happy? What thoughts make you happy? And if you've got a good answer, if you've got a bad answer, I'm a big fan of the bad first draft, right? It's far better to do a thing poorly than to. There are exceptions, okay? Obviously, open heart surgery is an exception, but it's far better to do a thing poorly than to do it not at all. If it's a thing where you can go back and redo it or improve your first attempt. It's done is better than perfect.
Right. Right. Though, to be fair, if you're at the point of needing open heart surgery, even then, done is still probably better than perfect if perfect is not an option.
Steve says field artillery is concerning if done badly. Okay. So no shit, there I was. We're in San Jose, and we had a mortar team doing training drills, and they were supposed to be launching HE, high explosive ordnance, at the side of a mountain which had been cleared and secured to make sure that nobody was going to die, and it was a particularly sturdy mountain, so that they could practice firing live ammo. And this is in theater during a war, and there's a lot of reasons to do it. For one, it's a show of force. For two, you're training troops, et cetera, et cetera. And where that particular base was that they were firing from, the local populace had their homes built rather close to the base, and they had a misfire where the mortar tube fell over and the round went straight out instead of in the arc that it was supposed to, and it landed in somebody's house. Yeah, sometimes shit just goes that way. So that's nobody died. I almost said that day, but in that particular accident is correct.
Instance.
Yeah. At that particular moment, the result of the misfire did not include any casualties. But we did have to rebuild their house.
It was probably an upgrade.
No.
What, you just used the same mud they built it with in the first place?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay. Fair
Uncle
enough.
Steve says, I've been married 40 years. She still talks to me. Good thing. I would put that under that's a win condition. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Cam.
Well, we know I'm on Twitter. I talk about it, and I use Twitter primarily just to kind of get my shit kickers out. Like, it is what it is. Are you Twitter trash, Cameron? Yes, I am. But I follow Jordan Peterson as well. So when I saw this tweet, I really thought about it and thought hard about it, because that's the kind of guy Jordan Peterson is. If you follow Peterson at all, one of the things that he encourages is to really think about something, and he is not afraid to say, I'm not prepared to answer that question right now. I need to think about it some more. I haven't come to what I consider to be a conclusion. And if you watch him in interviews, even in hostile interviews, like even with so what you're saying is the infamous interview, the guy really considers what he's about to say. Sometimes he really considers it in the moment, and then other times he's obviously considered it a lot leading up to that moment. But nonetheless, he puts a lot of consideration into things, because one of the things he talks about in his rules for life is tell the truth, or at the very least, don't lie. So when he says, what is a thought that is true and it makes you happy, like, there's a lot to that. Like, we lie to ourselves a lot. Even those of us that are aware of the fact that we lie to ourselves, we lie to ourselves. So I gave a lot of thought to this, like, what are some thoughts that make me happy? Genuinely, truly. And probably the biggest example is the first time I found out I was going to be a father. I was happy then, and at the time I was happy then, I was thinking about the fact that I was going to have a baby. And now that it's in the past, and I think about the past, it is a happy thought that I have, remembering how excited I was that I was going to have a baby. But even just having that thought, there's a lot to chew into there, because it's not like there was this magic thing that happened where I was happy for 40 weeks and then my daughter was born and then I just stopped being happy because I was going to be a dad. There's, even knowing that that's a thought that makes me happy, there's still more things to think about. Where's the beginning and end? And what was the happiest moment in all of that? So, to think about something that's true and makes you happy, you think it'd be easy. It'd be like, oh, well, chocolate makes me happy. Well, no, chocolate gives you pleasure. It doesn't necessarily make you happy. Okay, well, fine, your children make you happy. Ah, okay. That's actually a good answer. But then why do your children make you happy? Well, I love them. I know, I understand that. But why do they make you happy? Because God knows anybody with an ex, anybody that's been divorced, knows that you can love something and it doesn't make you happy. Okay? So there's there's just a lot to make you. I call it the fizzy brain. I've got so many thoughts; they're competing with each other. And Jordan Peterson's good for that. I've been thinking about, okay, how are we even going to properly define happiness? Ever since I read that tweet.
Yes, and okay, Cameron and I have been talking this morning, and before I go down the conversational road of defining happiness, while you were speaking, Cameron, I went ahead and tweeted, or I went ahead and composed. I'm about to hit the tweet button. In response to Jordan's tweet, later today, I will sit down with my 2-year-old daughter and we will snuggle. She will watch Peppa Pig and I'll listen to an audiobook and we will fall asleep snuggling on the sofa. This makes me happy. And and when I say that, I legitimately mean that's a thing that I'm thinking about and looking forward to today. Right? In a little while, after this show's over, I'm going to make some business phone calls, and then I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with the wife about some planning that we have to do, and then she's going to go to school for a few hours. I'm going to cook lunch for the kids. We're going to do some house cleaning, and then I'm going to sit down with the baby, and we're going to take a nap for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it's that sitting down to take a nap with the baby that I'm really, really looking forward to. And not just because I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning. I mean, that's obviously part of it. But it's hard to beat sitting down and snuggling with a baby. And it doesn't matter whose baby it is. You know, I mean, as long as you're not doing this illicitly.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of matters.
Holding a baby is a beautiful and wonderful thing. But boy, let me tell you what, for anybody watching out there that doesn't have their own children already, this will change your life. Right? Raising children is the hardest and best thing I've ever done. And it's absolute magic.
Yes. Boy, do you want to talk about
apparently Uncle Steve has some interest in butt chocolate. Butt chocolate understands you. Chocolate is always there for you. So
I understand where that typo came from, but
yep.
I don't care. I'm going to deliberately misread that because I'm still, 14 years old in the part of my brain. He said butt chocolate.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Uncle Steve is a larger than life, loud personality. He deserves some harassment on occasion. As you know, that butt chocolate, man, you don't want a ferret in your ass. They're not like gerbils.
This is not at all the direction I thought this was going.
And Rodemeyer says holding a baby while miscalculating artillery is ill-advised. I'm actually going to argue against that point, Steve. If you're holding a baby while miscalculating your artillery, as long as you don't fire that cannon straight up, you've probably guaranteed the safety of that baby more completely than if it were anywhere else in the world that miscalculated artillery might inadvertently attach. Oh God, I was going to just go ahead and move along and get back to the topic, and then Krista had the best typo ever. I'm assuming, Krista, that what you meant to type was not OMG, who are these Mormons? I suspect that what happened is the word morons got autocorrected to Mormons on your behalf, and that may be the most appropriate miscorrection I've ever encountered. Oh, thank you. We're done. Y'all have a nice day. I don't know if I can top that. Okay, so happiness. What is happiness? How do you be happy? Okay. In the very base colloquial, no, it was a reference to the butt chocolate hamster joke. Krista, I was not aware that the Book of Mormon said anything about hamsters covered in butt chocolate, but I'll maybe I should go reread that. Is that in the edition? Is that in the edition where they removed the references to the color of sinful people? Just saying. Anyway, happiness. I think we detour. Oh God. Okay.
You can get there, buddy. You can do it. Just breathe.
Happiness. I am happy. Generally. Okay? I am generally happy because I have worked my life in such a way that I have resources available to me that I have earned and planned and put in place, which mean that I have a great deal of latitude to pursue resources through the pursuit of my interests rather than having to work a job that I don't like. I don't have to settle for
the biggest difference between the two of us.
Yeah, brother, it breaks my heart. You really missed out not killing terrorists for a living for a few years.
Yeah, apparently.
Now,
for so many reasons.
In fairness, Cameron's musculoskeletal structure is probably going to hold out longer than mine.
And I'm not deaf. Like, there was a trade-off.
What was that?
Well played, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, in fairness, that whole deafness thing, I will tell you this. These are the kind of headphones that teenagers and drug users buy so that they can crank them up so loud that you can hear them if you're standing nearby and they're deeply obnoxious. I have them so that I can hear the bare whispers of anything that I'm trying to work on at this computer. They would hurt you to be near. They're good headphones. Rajan Singla has joined us, but I have lived with sorrow all my life. Rajan, I am genuinely sorry to hear that. Stick with us, buddy. Let me do this. Rajan, I just now see you in the chat. I don't know how early you came in, but at the beginning of this episode, I pointed out that Peter, and I'm still showing it on the screen now, Peterson made this tweet a serious question. What thoughts do you have that you consider reliable and true that are also truly happy? I want to collect thoughts genuinely linked to positive emotion. Let's start with happiness. What thoughts occur to you when you are happy? What thoughts make you happy? So, Rajan, I want to challenge you personally to, if you're assuming you're already on Twitter, and it might even be worth your while to get on Twitter just for this particular experiment, get on Twitter, go find Jordan B. Peterson's page, and try to think of at least one thought that makes you happy. even if it's something generic as the lofty goal of world peace, or something as simple as I feel more comfortable when I drink hot chocolate on a cold winter day. Try to think of one thing you can say that is a thought that makes you happy, and quote tweet with Jordan Peterson's question and add your 2 cents to the conversation. The mere act of trying to think of something that makes you happy is good work for your soul.
Well, and it's funny that Rajan says what he says because Jordan Peterson talks a lot about how the world is chaotic and life is pain, and that you take any random person off the street and you don't have to go very deep and you find out they're dealing with some kind of a problem. It just is what it is. And that it's very, very important that you actually take responsibility. Jordan Peterson refers to it as, pick up a load and carry it. It gives your life purpose. It's the only way to get through the misery that is the world. Because Rajan's not wrong. There's there's a lot out there in today's world that is sorrow. However, I would point out that has been true of the human condition since cavemen. Like, if you didn't find anything to eat that day, you just didn't eat that day. Like, it's been rough since day one.
And it's especially good that we're talking about Peterson by way of his tweet today for Raja and for you to join us this morning. I hope you subscribe and become a regular viewer for our show, Rajan. If you're not familiar with Peterson already, which is moderately unlikely, but if you've probably heard of him, but if you've never actually listened to his lectures, he talks about this idea that life is pain, that from time immemorial, men and women have struggled mightily against impressive, almost insurmountable odds in loving partnership to overcome the uninhabitable chaos of a painful life and establish a habitable order in which they can somehow eke out survival, if not happiness. And all of that work is directed toward the eventual achievement of universal eudaimonia, which is a word for happiness. And I half-assed promised Cameron I wouldn't go too far down this road, so I won't go too far down this road. But philosophers use the word eudaimonia, which is an archaic Greek word meaning happiness. And they use that word to distinguish between the modern colloquial subjective concept of general happiness and the much loftier, possibly even unattainable objective description of happiness, which they refer to as eudaimonia, which is a state. You can think of eudaimonia almost the same way that you think of what the Buddhists mean by nirvana. It's a state of pure, fulfilled enlightenment. But the conditions of it in the Aristotelian estimation are somewhat different than the Buddhist understanding. The Buddhist understanding is this kind of, it's a level of enlightenment where you have such a perfect connection, you grok, right, to understand a thing fully and completely through contemplation, study, and consumption, which we get from Robert A. Heinlein through The Martians, where cannibalism is part of their ritualistic study and respect of one another. It's bizarre and interesting and complex. But the eudaimonic happiness that Aristotle describes involves a habitual cultivation of virtue. Aristotle's argument includes the idea that essentially you cannot be happy unless you are a morally good person. I really like the way that Aristotle approaches that philosophy for two major reasons. From the founding fathers of the United States, we have this idea that a truly free and prosperous society is only suited to a moral and religious people. Now, I don't necessarily agree that necessarily entails that religion be the exact same religion for everyone in order to achieve that moral and religious person standard for the society to be suited to that person. But the idea that free men can only be free and prosperous as long as those men are good. That concept entails also the most base and important justification for the Second Amendment and our adherence and dedication thereto, which is that a good and moral society can only remain good, moral, and free so long as there is an enforcement mechanism to root out and eliminate evil. And it is, in fact, entirely possible to recognize what an evil thing is and to remove it. I was quoted when I was interviewed about my competitive slam poetry for one of the larger newspapers in California. God, good God, 12.5 years ago almost. I said, I think a man can be truly happy when he can say, I have created beautiful things and useful things, and I have destroyed dangerous and terrible things. I have built, me personally, I have written many wonderful things, in my opinion. Poetry, stories, treatises, lectures. I've written a crap load of stuff. I've made films that I think are beautiful and that other people have told me are beautiful. Working with Steve Rodemeyer, I've built paper mills, churches, and the like. And I've got 4 beautiful children. I've created beautiful things. I have also gone overseas and hunted men who mutilate children to make political points. I have destroyed evil things. I am actually very, very happy in my life because I believe that a man who roots out and eliminates those things which are detrimental, which are deleterious to the good order and happiness of the human condition generally, and who creates beautiful things and useful things which in and of themselves improve the world, those are the objectives by which I measure my value and my virtue and my moral competency. So I'm very happy because of that. And I'm a fat boy because I do have some hedonistic tendencies. I love a buffet.
Me too.
Oh God, I ate at Mary Mac's Tea Room yesterday, Cameron. Oh, it's not a buffet, but it might as well be.
Fair enough. So, just to kind of try and wrap it all up, I wonder how many people's answers are going to revolve around their relationships with other people, are going to have similar things. My children, my spouse, my parents, something in that vein. And then how many people are going to also talk about some type of work that they do that's very fulfilling to them. And, I make the flippant thing about chocolate, okay? But as you and I were discussing before the show, and then you bring up the thing about a buffet, okay, yes, eating chocolate, can be hedonistic, right? But you have to eat to live. You have to. So, what tastes better? Plain white rice or rice that's been fried over with some veggies diced up and nice egg on top and a dash of soy sauce? I know which one I prefer, and that's the fried rice. And even something as hedonistic potentially as sex. Yes, I mean, that could arguably be the most hedonistic practice you can engage in, but the human race dies out if people are not having sex. The children, I have 4 children, you have 4 children. There was only one way to make those babies, just one. So, as people answer these things honestly about what makes you happy, and you really have to think about the why does it make you happy. And I don't even know how to define that point in the Venn diagram where there is some hedonism that bleeds over to the actual virtuous happiness. Hell, it's 420. I get a chuckle out of that. I know what it means. I'm an ex-pothead. That kind of makes me happy. It's funny. But
I thought you were going to say it's time to buy some doggy coin.
Oh, is that how you pronounce it? It's doggy coin?
Yeah, I keep hearing people say Dogecoin, but you're missing the joke, guys. The coin has a dog on it. Right? Okay, so the guy that invented the GIF, he's an idiot. It's a hard G, damn it. It's not giraffics. file, Giraffix image file. No, the image files are of things other than giraffes, son. But yeah, doggy coin. It was, hey, I'm going to put a picture of a doggy on this coin, and doggy coin was supposed to be a joke as a crypto. So, but completely beside the point. Yes, trending in the United States right now is Dodge 420, Doji 420. It's Doggy 420. Hashtag money.
See, wow. Now you just blown my mind. So, do we come back in a week and actually go through the Twitter thread and see what kind of answers Jordan Peterson got? How many people talked about friends and family and work? Because maintaining relationships and doing meaningful work is challenging, is stressful. And yet that's the thing we're going to associate with satisfaction and eudaimonia. So,
you know what's funny?
Come back in a week and follow up on this?
Let me tell you something funny. I was sitting here arguing with myself, and I had come to the conclusion that what I would do is I would ask you to hang out on the phone for just a minute after I end the show so I could ask you this question off air. I was going to ask, I think we can drill this topic we could probably stay on and keep talking for another half hour at least. But of course, we have other constraints on our time right now. You and I both have to get off the show shortly. How would you feel about doing a second impromptu live show this evening, and to try and get even more eyeballs and more attention on this topic and on this conversation, and then also coming back next week and going back to see who we see from the BFM that's posted?
That depends entirely on when I would get home.
Okay. Well, then I'll say this to you guys that are watching. If Cameron gets home early enough and unobliterated enough, then we'll try to do an impromptu pop-up this evening and see if we can't get some more eyeballs on this conversation and kind of blow it up a little harder. If we do, I would love to have all of you watching now join us for that one. And in fairness, we usually have more traffic when we do shows in the evening. I might even go so far as to do it myself without you, Cameron, if you can't do it this evening, just to see if just to check the timing, just to see if Tuesday nights are a good night to do live streams. And I want you all to do me this favor too. If you happen to be on Twitter, like I already asked you to go and reply to Jordan Peterson, answer the question, be a part of that conversation, add to that conversation. But when you do, make sure you tag the Brushfire Mind at Brushfire Mind on Twitter. We are at Brushfire Mind, all one word, on Twitter. Make sure you tag us in your reply to Peterson's question so that we can more easily find your responses when we do a follow-up on this show, because with all the bad news, division, riots, all that crap that's just dominating the headlines, I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of the constant march toward the murder of civilization that is the Democrat propaganda machine.
Yeah. He was unarmed. He was only a 13-year-old baby boy. First of all, 13 ain't a baby.
Just maybe, some of our work can be exploring happiness, prosperity, success, value, virtue, family, faith. Maybe, just maybe, we can think some happy thoughts and wash away the evil that we still have to pretend was legitimately elected by the American people.
Hey. That was the most free and fair and bestest election ever of all time. It was just the most amazing. It was fantastic. It was democracy in action, sir.
Amphibious priapism. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Do hop on Twitter and respond to the question. Do tag us in there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Share. And apparently the thing that is the best to feed the algorithm right now is leaving a comment on the video itself. And
after the live feed is
after the live feed is over and the video is published. And if you want to help, we have some projects coming up this summer that we're going to need to get some funding toward. There will be a link to leave a tip on every video that we've published since the beginning of this year, at least. So if you go, please go and check out our other content, share it as well. And if you leave us a tip, we can put that toward feeding the crew and doing costumes and set pieces and props and all that production stuff. So thanks again for watching. We love you. Y'all be safe out there, and we'll see you tomorrow. Maybe, just maybe, this evening as well. Take care.
All right.